Over 3,000-meter high mountains, 1,150 transmission towers, over 5,000-kilometer long aluminium conductors, one helicrane, $450 million, and the impossible deadline of just 36 months. It will take the most out of the men and the machines to brave the wind, snow, storms and slopes, and to bring light to some of the highest villages in the Himalayas. This is the ultimate joint venture between man, machine and mountains. This is the beacon of hope and light. The corridor to Kashmir. India's northernmost state, Jammu and Kashmir, surrounded by the magnificent Pir Panjal Mountains. These steep slopes are an impediment to any construction project. But now, a team of designers, engineers and construction workers has decided to take on the challenge and forge a 415-kilometer long transmission line and bring reliable power to Kashmir. On an average, around 12 million Kashmiris suffer almost 70 days of blackout in a year. During winters, temperatures can plunge down to less than -13 degrees, making life difficult. Currently, the old transmission corridor runs from Moga in Punjab and ends just ahead of Jammu at Kishanpur. Landslides, rockfalls and heavy snow often disrupt the old transmission line, plunging large parts of the state into darkness.
बिजली ना होने के कारण यहाँ पे कोई मतलब कारोबार लोगों का जो मतलब रोज़मर्रा की ज़रूरियात थी वो नहीं पूरी हो रही थी।
काफ़ी पिछड़ा हुआ इलाका हमारा है, उसमें लाइट की प्रॉब्लम है बहुत आ रही है। लाइट की प्रॉब्लम ये है कि पूरे दिन में हमें 2 घंटे लाइट होती है।
सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हमारे यहाँ बिजली नहीं होती है तो वो अमॉन्ग स्टूडेंट्स के अंदर होती है, या खासकर रात को पढ़ने का वक्त होता है तो उस वक्त बिजली नहीं होती है, तब उनको अंधेरे में बैठना पड़ता है और ये सबसे बड़ी डिफ़िकल्टी है।
The state government wants an alternate power corridor to light up Kashmir. The new power line will originate from Jalandhar in Punjab, a state with surplus power supply, and cross into Jammu at Samba. From there it will climb into the border town of Rajouri and then up past Pir Ki Gali Pass before ending at the new Amargarh substation in Baramulla district. This new line will surpass the existing line in length by almost 4 times and will connect the central grid to Kashmir for the first time. This new proposed power line, the Northern Region System Strengthening 29 or the NRSS 29, will start at 240 meters above sea level and rise up to an altitude of 3,000 meters, a rise of over a stupendous 2,700 meters. Once complete, this transmission line will draw 1,000 megawatts of power from the northern grid and double the electricity reaching Kashmir. But electrifying Jammu and Kashmir is a tough challenge. The government has just 2 bidders for the project. The mountainous terrain is tough to conquer. During winters, the high snow and cold winds make working impossible, and security issues often plague the politically volatile state of Jammu and Kashmir. STERLITE Power, with a promise to deliver the project 12 months ahead of schedule, wins the bid.
No one wants to address the tough challenges. No one wants to connect Kashmir to the mainland with a 400 kV line over the Pir Panjal range. And these are some tough challenges that we are accepting, because we believe that if no one does them, then we'll never have a real economic energy market in our country.
The company is just 6 years old and has been in the business of connecting towns and villages through power lines. Its experience of manufacturing cables and conductors and of building power lines from Maharashtra in the west to Assam in the east will certainly come in handy. But the geography of Kashmir will be the biggest challenge for this young company.
We asked ourselves that is there no way to do this project in, let's say, half the time. See, it was very easy for us to take the full 6 years. In fact, if we took 9 years, it would not be unheard of. But where's the fun in that? We said that let's take this project, let's take it a challenge that we have to deliver electricity for the people of Kashmir in as little time as possible.
This new corridor to Kashmir will consist of over 5,000 kilometers long heavy gauge conductors running in 12 parallel lines. These overhead high power transmission lines carry a fearsome 400 kilovolts of charge and will rest on over 1,000 tall, heavy reinforced metal transmission towers. The first phase, the Jalandhar-Samba line, is being built predominantly on flat land, and it's plain sailing for the team, who lay out this section in record time, 12 months ahead of schedule. But building the remaining two-thirds is the Herculean task. The Samba-Amargarh line has been built on these treacherous slopes of the Pir Panjal range.
As far as the planning is concerned, the first thing goes the identification of the location. Once the location is decided, the type of the tower for that particular location is being taken into consideration after considering the engineering.
The design team now has to factor in the elevation of the slopes, the altitude and the snowfall pattern, and tweak the design and weight of the towers.
So as we're talking from Samba to Amargarh, there are 4 sections that we have divided to Akhnur and Rajouri and then Shopian and then to Amargarh, right? Now in these 4 sections, if we see, this is the portion which is non-hilly and without snow. This is the portion which is hilly without snow. This is the portion hilly plus snow. This is the semi-hilly and the snow part, right? So now in this hilly and this semi-hilly and snow area, we need to design the towers in a way that we can club this to.
The team is using 4 different types of towers to match the topography, the angle of the slopes.
For this particular project, we have considered the wind zone to a higher level, like it is of 39 meter per second is the wind speed in the particular area, but we have considered to 44 meter per second. We have increased to a higher level, as well as when we are considering the snow thickness, we have considered to be 16 mm thickness on the conductor and the tower material, but generally it is 10 to 12 mm. So we have kept it a higher side, and when that automatically covers the seismic load on the tower because a pin joint structure, and the seismic loads are easily transferred to the ground.
In the complete line, we are using more than 1,000 towers through different geographical areas. Some are coming in heavy snow zone, some are in medium snow zone, and some are non-snow zone area. In heavy snow zone, we are using grade C material and some extra weight. So our tower will not be brittle in negative temperature, and tower will not be buckle in any condition.
The team meets in the boardroom to finalize the plans. The altitude of the mountains and the snow conditions are the big impediments to the project. Prateek Agarwal, STERLITE Power's Chief Executive Officer, is taking keen interest in the project.
The reliability, not only the 35 years, at least the 50 years this line can serve into the Jammu and Kashmir and towards the nation.
But there is a huge operational problem to be overcome.
Considering the size of the project, what I think that the material movement for the foundation as well as tower erection will be the biggest challenge.
How is the team going to get the material up the mountains? The traditional method of using mules to shift material is slow and cumbersome. And each transmission tower can weigh a mammoth 46 tons. That's like hauling 9 reluctant elephants up the slopes.
You will be surprised to note that the 5,000 mules of 24/7 was in all the consideration. And being a project director, I was thinking, what's happening? Well, there is one planning for the man, material, jeeps, tractors, excavators, these are required. But the mules?
The land route with sometimes non-existent roads is too time-consuming. So the engineers look to the air for a solution.
This is perhaps the most difficult transmission project ever undertaken in this country. And we believe that if we can execute this project in much faster time than it has ever been executed, we can execute any other project in this country. And from this value proposition, what we want is that we bring in the best of the technology in the world to complete this project within the time frame. And from this perspective, we want to bring helicrane, because I believe that after scanning all the technologies available in the world, this will perhaps add the most value to our ambition of executing this project.
STERLITE Power has taken a calculated risk and ordered a helicrane from Ericsson. The helicrane, or S-64, a monster helicopter that carries enormous weight of up to 9,000 kilos. Its forerunner, the CH-54 Tarhe, a Vietnam War hero, was invented in the early 60s by Sikorsky Aircrafts and used by the US Army. Today, the technology is primarily for civilian use, and Ericsson Aircranes owns and operates the largest fleet of S-64, leasing them out for mega building projects worldwide. Can the helicrane be the answer to conquering the slopes of the Pir Panjal? And can it help build a corridor in record time before winter falls?
Biggest challenge that we have of working on these humongous mountains in only 3 months. We have only a working window of 3 months, and how best can we do so much of work is only by using the technology of aviation, and that is how the very idea itself was one big challenge.
Action now shifts to Bafliaz, near Poonch, which is very near the line of control. This is the operations base from where the team hopes to conquer the Pir Panjal range. Security is tight. This is geographically the widest place in the area, with proximity to the road, so the entire stock inventory can easily be brought in. The area also has a high presence of Indian forces as it's close to the line of control and gives the base extra security. The team has all its equipment here: cement, sand and gravel to lay the foundations of the towers, and a whole host of metal stubs that will form the legs of the transmission tower. Meanwhile, far away at Mundra port in Gujarat, the Ericsson helicrane is finally off the ship. It's come from Australia. The flight engineers check the machine. And hey presto, it's liftoff and time to head towards Kashmir. But back in Kashmir, work comes to a standstill. Disaster has struck the operation headquarters. With the nerve center down, precious time is being lost. Connecting Kashmir to the central electricity grid is a mammoth undertaking. This team has hired a helicrane to help conquer the Pir Panjal mountains. But days before its arrival, disaster strikes. The effort to bring power to Kashmir has suffered a setback. A flood in the adjoining river has inundated the operation headquarters. The months-long hard work in setting up the base has been washed away. The crew is safe, but the entire yard's a complete mess. What was once a parking zone is now a river. The team does its best to salvage what they can. The living quarters are no longer habitable. The B-3 helicopter on a trial run is quickly dispatched back to Srinagar. The crew don't want to take any chances.
The challenge was to make this yard available for the Ericsson by July, and we had a flood in between, so I have to remake the whole yard.
Meanwhile, the clock is ticking away. The team reviews the flood and decides to set up base at the same place. The operation headquarters has to be up and running before the helicrane arrives. This team has a deadline to meet and no time to waste. In a matter of just 3 weeks, the yard is reconstructed. The team invites the local army commander for the inauguration. The operations base is now ready to welcome the first sortie of the heli crane. This is the magnificent heli crane. She's named Olga, which means holy in Russian. She looks like a slim grasshopper, but she is no lightweight. She is powered by twin heavy lift engines. She doesn't come alone. She's followed by her support crew in the B-3 helicopter. This is the first time a sky crane has been used in a construction project in India. And the team believes that she will be a game changer. The Olga is an experienced workhorse. She has over 54 years of experience of working across the world. And now she intends to queen over the Pir Panjal range. The Olga comes at a steep price and costs thousands of dollars per hour. Clearly, the team believes that the price is well worth it.
It is one of the largest projects being financed in the state of Jammu Kashmir in the history of India. So it was fairly difficult, and the technology and the complexity of the terrain that we had to go through made it even more difficult.
This sky crane is the team's secret for beating the project deadline. It can lift up to enormous 8,000 kgs of weight, compared to 40 kgs per man per day.
We're here in Batliaz, India, to do a power line construction project for STERLITE. And we're in the process of moving steel, concrete, and gravel to the tower site.
The sky crane comes with a highly specialized crew of 10 people, pilots and engineers, plus a crew who will manage the ground operations. The Ericsson crew is an experienced lot, but it's clear that working on this project is not going to be easy. The ground team needs to learn what it means to work with the heli crane and quickly put systems in place. At every landing and takeoff, the powerful 6-blade rotors of the heli crane kick up a veritable storm. So tankers are called in to sprinkle water to keep the dust down, for visibility is key. The noise of the rotors is deafening, and the safety officer keeps a check to ensure that everyone is wearing safety helmets, goggles and ear protection gear.
जब भी हम टावर रिएक्शन के लिए जाएंगे, जो आप ऊपर करते हो, तो आपके ये जो दोनों सेफ्टी ओपनिंग इसको प्रॉपर आप हुकअप करोगे, उसके बाद ही कोई काम करोगे. सबसे पहले आप अपने आप को सिक्योर करोगे, ठीक है ना?
The air crane comes with a variety of attachments to carry different kinds of loads, which makes carrying cement, gravel and steel an easy task.
Here we sift steel bundles with the help of a sky crane at locations which is very far from the access road.
Sitting inside the city office in a converted container, the team plans each sortie carefully, keeping in mind the latitude, longitude of the drop zone and the temperature of the day. It's the job of the Olga's loadmaster to coordinate with the pilot and the ground crew to check the loads to be lifted.
As the altitude increases, the temperature increases, our density altitude increases. As our density altitude increases, our lift capacity decreases, and the available horsepower from the engines decreases. So that starts to create some problems as we get into the higher elevations. 7,000 feet and above, we really start losing performance and start losing lift capacity.
Hourly weather updates to check the wind and visibility in Srinagar, Pir Ki Gully and the drop zone is crucial in deciding the weight for bundling. Today, the yard crew has been asked to bundle all material under 4 metric tons. But as the weather deteriorates in the afternoon, the calculations have to be revised. The hard work of the morning will have to be redone and the bundle weight recalibrated and remeasured for the next sortie. Nishant Gupta, STERLITE Power's project manager, knows that ignoring the weather or the weight changes can jeopardize the safety of everyone aboard the heli crane.
Looking at the terrain, because there are a lot of challenges with the machine, it cannot lift more than 6 metric ton on these terrains because it's from 8,000 to 12,000 feet. Then we changed our plan from erection to more of bundle shiftings, or maybe we did much of dry material shiftings plus steel bundles. So we changed the entire setup, and our our target was like 4,500 metric ton. As on that, I think we are targeting 4,200 metric tons, or maybe we can do more than that.
It's September. Weather is disrupting work at the sites. Today, the team at the operations yard has been waiting for the sky crane since early morning. But bad weather at Pir Ki Gully Pass means it's stuck at Srinagar.
And meanwhile, 62 Romeo is going to take off at by the time it gets to Srinagar.
So that means we'll be ready to work by 10.
9:30, 9:45. Yeah.
But 9:30 comes and goes, and there is no sight of sky crane.
Helicrane is coming from the Pir Ki Gully, that is 12,000 feet altitude. Some days is not coming for the weather condition is bad. Major constraint is the weather condition here, vulnerable weather condition. If you look after in the morning, it will be a very sunny day. After 12, it will be the very tough cloud will be there, and the visibility will be less for the construction.
Weather on the Pir Panjal range has a lot of local variations. Sometimes the wind conditions or visibility have changed rapidly, making the team scrap their entire plans for the day.
One of the things that we have to watch out for is the weather closing in behind us or in front of us and everything. So to be cognizant of where you're at and the weather of what it's going to be doing, and try to outguess it and work with it on that right there. Safety, because you've got to be safe. If you can't see what you're doing, don't be there.
By mid-September, work on the project nearly comes to a halt. The monsoon winds are playing spoilsport, and the helicrane has been stuck at Srinagar airport for the last 1 week.
The weather here has been quite difficult. For the last week, we've been shut out. This time of year, I understand, in this area is quite moist. We get a lot of thunderstorms building up and a lot of fog, which we're not unable to operate in.
The Ericsson support crew at the yard keep themselves busy, tinkering with the Olga and making sure she is in perfect shape.
The problem we have with that right now is the weather's not cooperating. As far as being able to give an actual time, I can't. If we get some good days, STERLITE will be able to see what we actually can do, how much production we can put into a day. I look forward to that day. I hope that day is tomorrow. But to give an actual time on when we'll be done, I can't give that. Mother Nature.
The terrain makes its own weather on that, and the weather is one of the things that we have no control of, and we have to work with the weather.
The team is under pressure. They need to finish before winter approaches with its snowfall and windstorms. The team has to win the battle against time, terrain and weather if they are to keep the promise and complete the Corridor to Kashmir project ahead of time. The helicrane has hastened the building process, but it's been out of action for the last 1 week because of bad weather. With work stalled, the team is under pressure. It's October. With the monsoons over, work on building the transmission towers gathers full speed. The team will have to race ahead to meet their deadline. Work on the hillsides of the Pir Panjal range is at different stages of construction. The team has started working on multiple sites. At some sites, the foundation has been dug up and the rebars are being laid. while at others, the legs of the transmission tower are already up. The heli-crane, with its supporting B-3 helicopter, is busy making daily runs across the mountains, ferrying material to these multiple work sites every day. The Ericsson team has brought these special concrete pouring buckets from the United States. Each of these buckets holds over 6 metric tons of concrete, which helps to speed up work at the site. But there are impediments to be overcome. It's been a learning curve for the Indians and the Americans to get a smooth working relationship going.
This is completely new to them. They've been doing it all by manpower and mules and horses for so many years that this is a huge change. So we're coming in and we're not asking for something a little different. We're asking for something completely different.
The heli-crane is a game changer, and the ground crew has had to quickly learn how to work around the tight, precise schedule of this high-tech workhorse.
We like to really get things done, get it done quick and hard. And sometimes we have to realize that we have to slow down just a little bit and say hello, you know, and get to know the people a little bit better. And then they get to know us too.
To keep pace with the monstrous machine, the ground crew required a whole host of manpower, which could work with needs of the heli-crane.
We don't have in India, we don't have the skilled manpower for especially for heli-crane erection. For that, we have recruited a special kind of fitter who was specialized for that. We have trained them for especially heli-crane operation.
Language is the other major barrier. Communication between pilot and ground crew is crucial in making an error-free drop. Any mistake in understanding can mean a drop of 4 tons of steel in the wrong place and certain death to anyone standing below. In some places, cell phone connectivity is poor and wireless communication not allowed due to security reasons. The team has got around the communication problem by teaching the laborers how to use hand signals effectively. And marshalling with flags saves the day.
We had to train our DOP zone crews. We trained them how to marshal a aircraft, how to do a signaling.
The Olga has speeded up the construction process from days to hours. But transporting heavy loads by air has its own risks that many local villagers don't understand.
The people of India have some problems at times understanding that when we're asking them, please don't go on the bridge or while we fly over, they don't understand why we don't want them on the bridge. We don't want them on the bridge because if one little bolt or one little rock falls out, we could injure someone or kill someone. We're not trying to disrupt their way of life. We're trying to protect them.
Safety first. That is the motto of this project. The heli-crane crew follows US flying regulations, which restrict them from flying over inhabited areas. So to avoid villages, the pilot often plots a longer route to reach the drop zone. Besides the US safety rules, the heli-crane cruise is also mandated to follow Indian aviation rules.
The days are quite short for us because of the duty day limitation here in India. 10-hour duty day, and that kind of hinders our operation, except for the fact that usually in the afternoon we get the thunderstorms that build up, and that shuts us down. The next day we're just trying to continue on, to catch up.
This sortie is carrying sand and cement for building the base of a new tower. But as the shackle is released, disaster strikes. The light black plastic lining begins to tear and nearly gets sucked up by the rotors. Back at Baflias, the team discusses the problem and takes a decision. Their solution is to drop the material with the netting intact and retrieve the tools and cargo nets at the end of the day. so they can be reused again. It's mid-October. Tower erection has reached a critical stage. This team, led by Jason Weber and Varun Srivastav, is heading up to oversee the installation of a transmission tower at Thanamandi. The towers are being built high on the Pir Panjal mountains, places that are not serviced by road. Everyone has to walk up a kilometer from the road head to reach the location. The nuts and bolts are inspected, and the crew prepares for the first section of the tower body the heli crane will bring today.
Okay, who's my English guy? Okay, when the crane comes in with the load, we're all going to be up there. Okay, everybody as a group will be up there. What's the first thing we're going to do?
येलो कलर का जो प्लेट इतना बड़ा बड़ा उसको खोलना है, उसके बाद चेन खोलना है, उसके बाद बनाना गाइड का जो बोल्ट है दो उसको खोल के उसको मैंने
they are saying that first they will climb and they will open the yellow part.
No. Step number one, if you can, I want one bolt.
Yeah.
Put in either side,
right,
wherever it lines up,
right,
just finger tight.
Right.
That's a safety. Step two, remove the wraparounds.
Okay.
With the instructions now clear, it's time to wait for the heli crane. The entire ground team follows safety protocols and heads up higher to await their signal. Down at Baflia's headquarters, each section is topped with bright orange metal bits called banana guides to help the next piece slide in. The Ericsson crew, along with yard workers called commandos, scramble up, checking and tightening every single nut and bolt. Nothing can be left to chance. The heli crane crew are changing the lifting rig attached to the underside of Olga in preparation for the day's job. The B-3 helicopter takes off with the aerial support crew, and the heli crane gears up to pick up the section. The commando crew is ready and waiting to secure the cables, and it's takeoff time. Up on the hillside, the tower crew wait patiently. As they watch, the section arrives. The heli crane pilot positions the section, guided by the hovering B-3 and the ground crew. The heli crane is engineered to have two pilots, one to fly the mammoth machine and the other at the rear to manipulate the section. As the team watches, the section easily slides onto the banana guides and slips into place. Work done, the heli crane releases the cables and flies off for another sortie. The crew heads to the transmission tower to lock it into place. Jason Weber's experienced eyes have spotted a problem. A wrap around is preventing one side of the section from slipping into place. The crew runs like a well-oiled machine and is quick to follow instructions. Under the eagle eye of Jason Weber and Varun Srivastava, the problem is efficiently sorted. At the base headquarters in Baflias, the side crossarm is given a run-over. With the headquarter ground crew satisfied, the heli crane engineers take over. The heli crane hovers over the sidearm, and the well-trained commandos quickly snap the guide ropes in place. It's time for liftoff, but a few minutes later it's clear that something is wrong. The heli crane comes back for another try. Will it manage to pull this 6-ton crossarm, or will work for the day come to a halt? Work on the project to bring reliable power to Kashmir is on at full swing. But the team has been grappling with the crossarm. 2 attempts to lift it have failed. There is a problem with one of the cables. It's unable to balance the awkwardly shaped crossarm. But this team does not believe in giving up. And it's third time lucky for the Olga. Up in the mountains in Thanamandi, Ericsson crew Brian Merriman and Cody Ray get ready to inspect the tower. This stage of tower erection is particularly hazardous. The sidearm cannot be slipped into place, so this team will have to remain on the tower to bolt it to the main body. Hanging from the stubs, Cody checks every bolt of the side plates and makes them secure. Brian briefs the crew on the day's work.
Push this through. Hold this. Then we're going to put the spike in, okay? At that time, we want one of these guys to hold the spike so it doesn't come out. The second guy always watches. The guy on my side watches me. The guy on Cody's side watches him. If we need them, we'll tell them to come to us, okay?
And finally, the crossarm arrives. The pilot maneuvers and positions the section precisely. Attaching the crossarm is the trickiest part of erecting a tower, as the crew has to fight against gravity in the race to secure it. This is no easy task. The heli crane hovers suspended in mid-air while the team on the tower work furiously, trying to match the bolt holes with their crowbars. The downward thrust of the rotors is strong enough to blow the men off the towers. But everyone is securely tied and wear earplugs to mask the overpowering sound of the heli crane. The crew's tools hanging from ropes for easy access. The heli crane pilot keeps a sharp lookout on the action below, keeping the chopper at an even keel. The team works tirelessly. The arm is finally secure. It's a job well done. For the local villagers, this is a rare sight. A first glimpse of the light that will open up countless opportunities.
बिजली हमारी कट होती है जो स्टूडेंट्स की लाइफ पर बड़ा असर करती है। देखो आप अगर बिजली होगी अच्छे से तो वो भी पढ़ सकेंगे, फिर हमारे बिजली की वजह से पानी भी हमें चलेगा और भी काफ़ी सारे फ़ायदे होंगे।
अगर 24 घंटे बिजली रही तो बहुत बड़ा हमें फ़ायदा हो जाएगा। दफ्तरों का कंप्यूटर सिस्टम है वो भी चलेगा और कोई नेट का सिस्टम है आगे पीछे करना है वो भी चलेगा।
सर बिजली अगर आना शुरू हो गई तो हमें ज़्यादा फ़ायदा होगा। हीटर भी इस्तेमाल हो सकता है तो बॉयलर भी इस्तेमाल हो सकता है। इससे हमारी मतलब काफ़ी जानें जो बच सकती हैं यहाँ पर।
अगर आ गई तो उससे हमारा रोज़गार बेहतर होगा, हमारे बच्चे रात को पढ़ सकेंगे, हमारा जो कारोबार है यहाँ पे कुछ स्मॉल स्केल जो इंडस्ट्रीज हैं वो लग जाएंगी। बिजली के आने से तो समाज में बेहतरी होगी और डेवलपमेंट होगी।
Work on the project is going on fast. With the towers standing tall between Samba and Amargarh, the company now decides to begin stringing them together. Stringing the corridors with conductors is precarious business. The men on these transmission towers are working 40 meters above the ground. That's like walking a tightrope between two 14-story high buildings. The job requires precision and brute strength. Far below, gangs of workers armed with winches and ropes pull the cable absolutely tight between the towers. There can be no slack in the cable here. And all this is happening over the loop of a running road. Traffic here cannot be stopped as this road goes from Jammu to Rajouri and is used by the army and civilians alike. High above the tree line, the workers mark the precise length of the cable before lowering it down. The ground crew cut and crimp the wire. And once done, they use sheer muscle power to heave it up again. Working collectively to the rhythm of the gangmaster's call. The crew in the sky work with a calm deliberateness and secure the cable firmly to the insulators. But the work is not over. With the safety rig on, this worker literally walks the tightrope to release the guide rope. It's a dizzying sight, certainly not for the faint-hearted. It takes 5 hours to fix just one conductor wire between the towers. And this carefully choreographed, precarious dance above and below ground will be repeated 11 more times before stringing is completed. It's November. The sky is clear, but there is limited window of time before winter brings all work to a halt. Work at the operations yard is on at a busy pace, with the STERLITE and Ericsson team working together in perfect synchronization.
Is there a brace right there?
No, not here.
Right up there. Okay, so you still have loose bolts.
At the yard, they're getting ready to send out the final piece of the tower, as this tightly knit, skilled band checks and sends out yet another section. They know it's a job well done. For project manager Nishant Gupta and Ericsson's David Broadway, it's just another satisfying day at work. The unstoppable heli crane is back again, and this time with the very crown of the tower. As the team seamlessly tops yet another tower, it's clear that this young company has done it. Today, 800 transmission towers dot the slopes of the Pir Panjal Mountains. The bold decision to lease the heli crane has paid off.
A project of this magnitude and scale has never been attempted before in our context, and therein lied the biggest challenge of bringing it from a drawing board into execution. We had to very much invent everything on our own and learn on the go. In fact, it was innovation on each and every day.
It's been a learning curve for both Team STERLITE and Team Ericsson. And months of working together, shoulder to shoulder, has made them appreciate each other's strengths.
Using manpower instead of machinery, but these guys have been working like dogs. They're hard workers, they want to get the job done, and they've been doing an excellent job.
That's amazing. You go home, I go home. At the end of the day, that's a good day.
There are just 350 more towers to be built, and then the project is complete. This young team has changed the landscape of high-tech construction in India forever. They have kept their promise and are well on their way to delivering the project a year and a half before it's due.
This is the line that not only connects Kashmir to Punjab, but any unit of surplus electricity anywhere in India is now available for the Kashmir grid to buy and to service its citizens.
It has taken cutting-edge technology, human resilience and sheer grit to overcome these mountainous barriers. The teamwork of man and machine have finally prevailed over the treacherous terrain of the Pir Panjal, forging a new corridor of light to Kashmir.